Welcome to Clap Back Get the Facts podcast, where we are providing you with the information you need to know about what's politically impacting Black women across the country. In a world filled with mis and disinformation, we provide you with the real. If you're a Black woman, representing Black women, or in the community with Black women, we are here to clap back and give you the facts. Thank you for joining episode 17, VP Harris and the first presidential debate, What to Watch. We will be sharing the facts and dropping gems, so let's get ready to clap back, get the facts.
Hello. Welcome to Clap Back, Get the Facts. We are so excited today. You know, we love a debate, and boy, is there a debate coming up. I think this may be the debate that everybody, and when I say everybody, I really mean the world, has been waiting on. So I want to thank you for joining episode 17. Today we're going to be talking about Vice President Harris, former President Donald Trump, and the debate coming up on September 10th. This debate will be the very first debate between the newly cemented Vice President Harris as the Democratic presidential nominee and former President Trump as the Republican presidential nominee. And when I say I think this is hotly anticipated, I don't think I'm making that up. And so, of course, you know, we're pulling together our roundtable to have a classic discussion on Black women's positions and perspectives on this upcoming debate. And to do so, I'm inviting a few of my gal pals along, starting with the baby of the bunch, Simone Henderson. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, everyone. How y'all doing? How you doing, Holly?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited about this debate. Can't wait to get into today's discussion. And I guess we'll go ahead and bring our legal eagle along with us. And Chantel Mullen, how are you? Well, we want to know how she is, but we're having some sound challenges. So as soon as she works that out, I'm going to say, hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl, hey, girl. I'm all on mute talking. My bad.
Listen.
It's been one of those days.
Listen. All right. Well, we hear you. We're good. And I know we are all hotly anticipating this upcoming debate. And let me just say, before we even get into this, before we talk about the topics and the things, I think we have to acknowledge that debates have real meaning, because the last debate took out a whole sitting president. So would you say there's a lot riding on this debate, or not so much?
I'm happy to jump in. I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, absolutely. As you said, the last one was with the different nominee. So, and now we have a new one, and so I think or presumptive nominee. And now we have a nominee. So let me use the correct terms. And so I think this one, I think more eyes are on Trump's performance, whereas I think that was a contrast to the last one, where the eyes were on how was President Biden going to show up. And I think this one is, we know it, but the question is, can Trump stand toe to toe, and how's he going to perform? And we know it won't be well. It will be traditional him, which will be a hot mess.
All right, Chantel, what say you?
Well, you know what? I agree with Simone, but I'm gonna
hot
come at
mess
this.
Express. That's what we think.
It was a hot mess express.
Okay.
But here's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Because you know we did start out this candidate season with a different presumptive nominee, and now we have VP as the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look back at that debate, we heard a lot about the other person's performance, but nobody really focused on Trump's performance, which was a hot garbage mess. It was trash. He rambled. He didn't answer any questions. So there was really no analysis of his performance because everybody focused on one person. But they really should have been focused on two, if we're being fair. The other thing is we
What in
heard a
the
lot.
world has fairness ever had anything to do with a presidential debate? I
You
mean,
know what?
I think we
And you
were
are
one of the
absolute. You are
few podcasts that actually in depth discussed the pros and cons, the good, the bad, and the ferocious of the last debate
ferocious.
on everybody's side. I have really looked high and low, and I'm not just tooting our own horn, but I think our analysis certainly was the most balanced that I encountered in terms of just not in terms necessarily of opinions. We were not that balanced on our opinions, but we were balanced in the discussion of the merits of both candidates as they presented.
And the remaining candidate that will be on the stage was a hot mess at the first debate.
Complete
And-
lack of substance.
and mainstream media overlooked that. So he is going to be a hot mess on this stage. And I'm really waiting to see if we have any discussion about age, because as we remember, age was such, I mean, it was with bated breath. It was histrionics. It was, oh my God, he's so old. They're 3 years apart. Now we have folks that are more than 3 years apart. And somebody real old. And if y'all ain't seen a picture of him walking and shuffling as of late, shuffling. So, you know, I'm going to see what they got to say. But what I feel like is they're already being overly nitpicky against the VP. And so it's going to be up to other people to really bring some balance to this discussion, because media folk, I don't have no faith that you will.
Well, speaking of media, and I know I'm going all out of order with our questions, but that's all right. Y'all just gonna roll with me. This week, the debate, this next debate will be hosted by ABC. It is going to basically follow the same rules as the last Hot Mess Express that we had. I wonder if you think we have a few slight differences. I'll go to Simone on this. What impact do you think the rules are going to have on this debate?
I think the rules will have a strong impact. I think what I think wasn't accounted for, and just to, you know, dive into what some of those things are, is the debate will be 90 minutes, 2 commercial breaks. Staffers cannot speak to the candidates during those commercial breaks. They will have pen and notepad available, but they cannot have any pre-written notes or props provided to them. And I think that's a portion that was strongly overlooked in the last debate, that I don't think we'll get as much. I think it may be spoken about. I think the main topic of conversation will once again be the fact that the mics are muted, and we know that the Trump campaign pushed for that because they have a candidate that can't control themselves. They have the repost and reaction of a toddler, just scream and scream and scream for attention. And so I think that that's the main thing. And I think that's what's going to have the largest impact, is that even though the mics are muted, I don't think that will stop him from speaking out. It definitely will not stop the facial expressions that will be thrown from him towards her. I don't think that he will follow any of the follow-up rules that are in place, such as, you know, you get 1 additional minute for follow-ups. I don't think that he will adhere to that. The candidates are not allowed to ask each other direct questions. I don't think that he will adhere to that. I think this is going to be a debate where you see one person following the rules and what's outlined for what they've agreed upon. And I think that it's interesting that the Trump campaign tried to push back and say, you know, we have this holdout because the Harris campaign didn't want to agree to the rules. I think they're both adults, as we've already identified. One is Yeah, look, my age, both adults. But I think it's very clear. You have one person that'll be on the stage that can't control themselves, and you have another that will attempt to follow these rules. I think at some point, I don't want to say, as we've seen, we've gotten rid of when they go low, we go high. We might have to meet them where they at. we just might have to meet you where you're at, because I think that we know he has a bad reaction to people of color and women. And I think we're going to see that on full display.
I think so I do just want to go on record and say I think the rules are all crap. I think the fact that you are not allowed to bring notes is super stupid and ridiculous. I don't want people to be forced into a false notion that your ability to remember endless facts off the top of your head, like we're in some trivia contest, is the measure of a president. I think that is ridiculous. I also find it ridiculous that you're not allowed to consult with your team, because I don't care who the hell the president is. Ain't nobody run this country without a team. And I would be feeling a lot more, I think it would be a lot more reflective of what happens in actual presidential duties as opposed to fake presidential if we had rules that better reflected how people actually freaking govern. So I'm going on record with that, which is what I said before about the last time we had these damn rules. And I do think the rules will play a part. I know that we have already had shots fired by our Vice President Kamala Harris, that she is not going to show up the way her governing partner Joe Biden showed up, and that she's been a prosecutor and a trial attorney, and that she is well equipped to debate Donald Trump anytime, anywhere. What do you think her strategy will be in this debate? What do you think Donald Trump's strategy will be in this debate?
Well, Donald Trump is going to go to his number one strategy, which is lie. That's the first thing he's going to do. So he just going to lie.
And also there will be no fact checking, because that is also part of the rules.
So he's going, they have alternative facts. We're going to throw it back. They have alternative facts.
Girl, ain't no alternative facts. He's straight up lying. He's just making up shit.
Okay, there you go.
Seriously. And if there's nobody there to stop you from that, one of the things I said about the first debate that they had is we had a person who was lying throughout the debate, and you had another person who I felt like had to decide, am I going to fact check real time, or am I going to try to make my points? Because what we need to know is they only have 2 minutes to make their point. So you've got to decide, as a person standing there with a person who is lying nonstop, how you're going to use those 2 minutes.
And where do you fall on that spectrum in terms of, if you were the debate advisor for Vice President Harris facing former President Trump, what are you advising on that, in those choices?
Well, I would say cut to the chase. When he lies, just say that's some bullshit and keep moving. That's a lie. That's another lie. Oh, that's a lie too. Oh, that's a lie. Because and if you call him a lie, he's got to make a choice whether he's going to say this, he's got to refute something. And no one has really called him a lie to his face. People talk around him, but they don't ever really say, you lying. And I think it's going to be particular because we know he has an animus for women. We know he has a real animus for Black folks, and he has a super animus for Black women. And so I would go straight at him and I just say, he lying. Oh, that's another lie. And if they really want to get gully, I just say that's a MF lie. Oh, he's just lying. He lying and the truth ain't in him. And go to your point. Call him a lie every time. Because at that point, if you call him a lie, people have to stop and say, well, what did he say? And start having a conversation about whether or not she was right or wrong. Because all she said is he's lying.
I certainly understand the visceral response to want to be able to identify these lies in real time. And I agree that the identification by announcing him or what he has said as a lie is important. But I do think that she needs to do it in a way that really focuses in on her vision. She cannot, in my opinion, she can't get caught up in his crazy. She has to play to her joy. She has to play to her strength. She cannot get caught up in his game. He lies not just because, I think him lying is going to get taken care of in the wash. I think she has to play to all of us who need her to mop the floor with him. And she can't outplay his game. She has to force her game into the, you say get a note card, say he lied.
She got a notebook. She got a notebook and a pen.
I ain't mad at that. Listen, now that strategy I'm going to go with. If she has a note card and she just flashes, just puts up he's lying, or maybe she says,
"You don't gotta say, you don't have to say anything."
You've inspired me. You've inspired.
While he's talking, she should hold up a note card saying he lying.
Listen, you've inspired me. I think I'm gonna amend your note card with my own note card. I'm gonna share it in just a second. I gotta write my note card out. But ultimately, I think her verbal focus has to be on her agenda.
Correct.
You can do this though.
What that say?
I'm gonna show you.
Okay. Tally marks.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
She can say, you know what? I really think that what the American public needs to understand is how we're going to make a difference in healthcare. I don't think we need to worry about what else. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a visual aid here that can happen.
They said
that really tells the tale about how we really show up in this situation. And again, I don't think it requires her wasting her valuable 2 minutes on him. I think to your point, I think it is very important that we really focus on the issues at hand, that we really are looking for her to, in some ways, rise above, but also, to be honest, to just show up differently.
And you know what?
And when she shows up joyful, when she shows up factual, when she shows up in celebration and excited, it actually drives him insane.
That he can't get under her skin.
He cannot rattle her. And so when she shows up and says liar, and she shows up and says, no, you're lying, she's playing to his game. But I do like your amendment and do think we should continue to think about how we use other mechanisms to identify, when something has just frankly gone awry.
But you know what, Holly? People always send around a bingo card. We need to have people on social media holding up he lying cards.
I'm already preparing my tally. I'm practicing right now because I'm gonna be doing this. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to be able to do this in real time, as well as talk and discuss. I'm gonna be at a debate watch party somewhere, and I'm gonna be doing something very similar to this. I need people to know that this is really, 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 really serious. And sometimes we got to be able to count fast because the number's going to keep going up because this man is going to lie. I think the one thing we do know, we may not know everything, but we know this man is going to be telling lies. I think the only real question is, how many lies do we think a person can get through in 90 minutes? Now, last time they clocked him over 50, which means I'm going to need a much freaking bigger piece of paper, or else I'm going to have to go to a different sheet to calculate all the lies.
But you know what, Holly? Let me just say this, because I'm gonna take your idea and I'm gonna amend my idea, because you're right. She doesn't need to play his game. But if she has on her notepad and she is taking a tally, because they said there's no props. But you know what? I'm tired of following the rules. It's not a prop. It's a piece of paper that she has, and it's not pre-written. But if she's sitting there making a tally in her 2 minutes, I would be holding up my sheets of paper going, he got these all his lies. I've been sitting
here. Ain't nothing in the rules that says how you have to use your paper and your pen.
That part. We lawyering now. That's what I'm talking about.
And she's a damn lawyer too. I ain't even mad about it. Okay. Now, beyond the note card strategy, which I highly endorse and would be highly entertained by, I would probably come up with all kind of things to be putting on my note card. I can see the petty coming out at me real fast with this. But aside from that, what else are we, I could get real crazy.
That's too big.
Asshole. But let me ask you, what issues do you think? You mentioned the bingo, but Debate Watch Bingo normally includes a round of issues. What issues do you think Black women in particular are going to be tuning in to hear, and who do they want to hear about them from?
I'm sorry, please.
Go ahead, Simone.
I was going to say, most definitely. We've seen in the last week, if not less than, Trump flip-flopping back and forth on his stance of reproductive health care across a number of issues. Mm-hmm. And so I think we will learn yet a new stance next week. He will probably spend his 2 minutes answering one way and his rebuttal flipping his answer again. But I think that's one of the major things, and I think it will absolutely be a topic of discussion. Mm-hmm. Mainstream media has picked it up. It's been something that has been talked about for the last few days. Is our candidates, changing their opinions on major issues related to healthcare, related to immigration stances, related, and not just healthcare, but healthcare systems, how people can access them, as well as reproductive health care. So I think that those are the two major things, is looking to see who remains consistent on how they want to show up and provide access and care for folks, and who's going to change their opinion every 30 seconds mm-hmm. to the audience that best suits them, or the lie that best suits them at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. What are you thinking, Chantel? On issues you think we're looking to hear?
I think we're thinking about reproductive health. We're thinking about health, period. Mm-hmm. Because for Black women in particular, it's reproductive health, but it's our health, because statistically speaking, Black people as a whole have some poor outcomes. And so there are a number of things that we should be looking for to come from our government. Mm-hmm. We've got hospitals that are closing. Mm-hmm. We've got people who don't have access to health.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if you make money, if you work yourself to death, or when you go to the hospital, or when you get sick, you can't go to a hospital because there's no care, or there's poor care.
Right.
So I think we're going to be listening around that. I think people are going to be listening more intently around her policy around creating more housing,
Mhm.
and her policies around helping small businesses.
Mhm.
And so I'm starting to hear a lot of buzz and people paying attention to that. And what I think she is doing is masterful. And she is reminding people that our government has been the greatest wealth creator in this country. It generated the conditions, or it created the conditions that allowed the middle class to grow and flourish.
Mhm.
The GI Bill, the housing, all of those things were things created by our government. We just have forgotten that it was created at a time when Black people couldn't fully access it. And
Mhm.
so she's taking us full circle to those similar sets of policies and making them accessible for all, which is what they should have been in the first place.
Absolutely.
I think if people really follow this and understand this model and this logic that she has going, it truly will grow the middle class. And we'll start to have some income equality being
Mhm.
brought back, because it'll start to grow more things. But I
And I
think those
think
are some of the things that people will be listening for.
very much to that point, I think what will also be timely to talking about the economy is the recent ruling by the Supreme Court, for to once again, put limitations and stop President Biden's efforts to reduce and eliminate student loans, and the fact that those decisions were made by Trump appointed judges. I think that the framing of that question will be very important. With the answer that's provided, I hope that that question is directed towards Trump, and that this is something that's at the front of mind. That we talk about the economy. This is something that weighs on people's ability to build, grow, and expand financially, their families and whatnot. We know his vice president is his vice presidential pick loves people that have kids and frowns upon those that don't, but we know it's expensive to have kids, and yet the president has made that financially difficult for people as they're paying off student loans. So show us the pathway of what you have to open up these doors for what your platform is. And I think that things like that are things that shouldn't be swept under the rug, and that they should be pushed to give me hardcore answers, because it's not just, doesn't stop at one. All these things intersect each other. And so you tell me how people are supposed to be able to afford the things that you criticize others for not having, or have not done.
Mhm. I think that's right. Listen, the other thing I think is ultimately, I read this article in Fortune magazine the other day that compared their two economic platforms. And I think ultimately, I agree, healthcare, I agree that we're definitely going to have a serious conversation about the economy. But the other thing, especially in light of the shooting today in Georgia, we've got to have a real conversation about guns. We've got to have a real conversation about gun violence in this country, which has been greatly reduced. But we get reminded by these mass tragedies, like again today in Georgia, about how we still have a long way to go. And I think if we're not having a conversation in specifically around guns, but even more generically around the very complicated issue of criminal justice, and how that impacts certainly minority communities, but let's face it, all communities at some level, then we are really having half of a discussion. And then finally, the thing that I think that the other issue that I think we're going to see such a stark contrast on. And I am very hopeful that we get some poignant questions. Actually, I have two more. The next one is the environment. I have to tell you, now I do consider myself a partial environmentalist. I want to be all the way. I'm just not educated enough. But even I, and even people who I know do not consider themselves environmentalists, and I'm going to out my brother, who believes in big trucks and big gas emissions and all of those things and thinks that electric cars are just iPads on wheels. Even he can't get behind freaking fracking. And there is, without a doubt, no science in the world that suggests that fracking doesn't have detrimental, unreversible consequences for our environment. And I can't imagine that we don't have a serious conversation about things like that and the environmental contrast. And the other big thing that I am desperate to have a conversation about, and I may be a little bit personal here, given my professional life, and that is we've got to have a conversation about equity and inclusion in this country. We cannot debate the diversity that exists within our country, so that diversity is off the table. But we have got to seriously talk about how we deal with growing disparities and the identity crisis that we have when we seek to divide people. And that means a very serious conversation about equity and inclusion that starts with race, but does not end there. And that is because if we can fix the race question, we are well on our way to fixing the other ways in which identities are used to divide and create disproportionate outcomes in our community.
Yeah, I'd love for us to have that conversation. But we got a media that doesn't even understand code switching. And they're allowing a whole candidate to question somebody's blackness when people really should be, when that rolls out of his mouth, the real answer should be, man, go somewhere with that. I mean,
well, what we do know is that there will be no audience, so there will be no response in terms of and we will not be looking to the journalists to either fact check or hold within the bounds of common decency. In other words, they are simply asking questions. They are not in any way seeking to moderate or create boundaries around anybody's speech or behavior in this debate. And so everything is on the table for both good, bad, and ferocious, as I said. But I think that where we have an opportunity, and we is the sisterhood, and what I'm calling on the sisterhood to think about, one, we gotta watch. And so I'm excited that there's going to be so many watch parties happening. I'm particularly energized by our friends at Win with Black Women, and especially those Win with Black Women that are organizing in their local areas and states. We have a number of in-person watch parties that are happening. A number of the unity groups that have been on these Zoom calls are also putting together parties. Higher Heights is partnered with us, Sisters Lead, and other Black-centered, women-centered organizations to do a virtual space. I think we have to make sure everybody is watching. We need all eyes on this to be a witness. And I think that we need to be fully prepared with all the talkers and all the surrogates that once we have witnessed, we need to, as the old song says, go tell that. We need to be ready to go tell that. We need to be ready to capture. I think this is going to be a space where she attempts to solidify as well as reintroduce classic one-liners that describe and sum up her policies and positions, and we need to be prepared to go tell that. I think we should also look for those moments where she literally obliterates him, and I think we're all anxiously awaiting that time because we're looking for a little bit of payback, if we're being honest, and we need to be able to go tell that. And then I think, to your point, Chantel, we've also got to be the recorders and the tellers of the accountability of Trump. And so, I certainly will be manifesting my lie chart. I'm going to get in camera, be manifesting my lie chart, and also pushing back and holding him accountable to all of the things that I anticipate him saying that will not only be wrong is easy, not only be absolutely lies, but also that is divisive, that is inhumane, that is disrespectful. And in other words, everything that we do not seek in a president. And I am sure I am going to have lots of receipts on all of that.
Well, Holly, I do want to, because I think you have done a really good job of helping to level set. Because one thing that, as you were just speaking, that I would like us to do is manage our expectations in this way. Okay. She is going to have some one-liners. She's going to have some zingers. What she's not going to do is get in there and act a fool. We all have envisioned somebody clapping back and clicking and clacking on Trump in public. I agree. She's not going to be that person.
Nor should she be.
Right. But
I don't Crockett moment. This is a vice presidential nominee moment.
Right. Because she's not going to have the bad built, butch body, bleach blonde moment. No. Even though I said that wrong.
Nor do we want her to, I want to put here.
Right. But
I don't even want her to do that.
But in our hearts of hearts, we really do want her to cuss him out. I do, but I know that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit here and just lie. I want her to cuss that joker out because he deserves it. He lying, but I know that's not gonna happen because it's just like I'm not going to my place and do all of that. We do have other words that we can use.
Yes, we do.
We do have other things. So I'm just saying, for us, acknowledge that you want that, but also acknowledge she's not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that point, because when I say she's going to obliterate him, I don't mean that she's going to disrespect him. And I think that is not the game I want her to play, even though my petty side, as you acknowledge, would love that. But in reality, what I really need to have happen is I need for her to show up as the grown-up. I need for her to, by her knowledge of the issues, by her ability to lead the debate and not follow his mediocrity, and her ability to set and maintain the narrative that has him chasing her as opposed to her following behind him. And even though he chose to close out the debate, I think that she has a grand opportunity to set the stage and the tone for how we're going to proceed. And she needs to stay in the pocket. I will be very disappointed if she allows him to rattle her. And by rattling, I don't mean stutter. I don't mean misstep. I mean play his game instead of playing her game. She has been exceptional at bringing us back to a moment where we get a chance to hear inspirational and visionary ideas of how our lives can be impacted with her leadership. She has also brought back the fun and the joy and the excitement of learning about these ideas in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. That's even, although we talk a lot about hope, it's even bigger than hope. And if she resorts to answering, he's going to ask her a question, she need to act like he don't even exist. As far as I'm concerned, she should do this as if he ain't even there.
Oh, I think she will. I think she will.
And if she does that, I think that comparison, stark comparison, because he's not, what, as a narcissist, what he hates more than being insulted is having no attention whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I agree with
that. Matter of fact, not only would I I'm improving my props as we go. This is awesome. Not only will I have my props, I wouldn't be mad if she, in her statute, turned away from him as if to say, you're not even worth me acting like I'm addressing you, because I'm only going to deal with the American public. I would make sure that every camera shot, every time the camera light went on, that's where I would be looking and nowhere else. I would be just very disciplined about that. All right, last words. Let's wrap up because this is a whole lot, and we are all going to get to see in real time what the real deal is. And so as we close out, are there any resources or tools that you want to point to or share or suggest that people look at to prepare themselves to even watch the debate?
Well, I think they should of course get Reese's Receipts.
Okay.
She has been doing a really, really good job of running down mis and disinformation about the VP and accurately talking about what her record is and is not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so and I'll just say, I think Roland has been doing a good job as well. I mean, he is using, they come at it from totally different angles, but Roland was doing, some pieces around the different statutes where, folks want to call the COVID-19 hate crime act and the Asian hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was talking about that's not what it's called. And you need to understand the federal government and running down, the things, the hate crimes the hate crimes acts that Black people already have. That they influenced to get passed. Mm-hmm. And all of those hate crime statutes apply to everyone, even though precipitating acts and communities that push for them are some of our minority communities. So he's been doing a good job as well. A lot of the content creators, I'm going to just tell you, I have been enjoying Kamala political TikTok. Folks are on there, they are just showing all the way out. And so the little DJ that made the little Black Job remix, I asked him to do a mashup of all of his songs, because I was like, baby, I need a little bit more, because you getting the beat going, So he's doing a great job with I love the Black Jobs, and the other banger he has is I'm a Never Trump voter.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one too. I said, come on, I was thinking about making me a little video. I ain't got the courage yet, so
okay.
Not
all right. Okay. All right. What say you, Simone?
I would say not only Sister Lead, Sisters Vote, but a number of our partner organizations are helping to push out so many resources and watch parties that you've already mentioned. And so I would just re-up that, bump that. Those are great resources to get some fact checking in real time, to look at all the different social media platforms. Everyone's comms team is going to be up, Twitter fingers moving. It will be a long night of making sure that their audience has the facts, the resources, and everything else that they need to get an accurate and the most fair job that I think a lot of our partner orgs want to provide people. That is the goal that they set out, is to provide them with that information.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's a great first place to turn. Have your TV on, your laptop, iPad, whatever you choose to tap into these different platforms with. But make sure that you do, so that you can hear how people are analyzing and receiving this in real time. People that have real on the ground experience are working to help put these policies in place and advocating that when you hear that crazy talk and you hear the lies, you're getting a direct source to know that what you are hearing is either inaccurate or accurate, and it's a trusted place to get it from.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, there's really only one clear call to action, and that is watch the debate. We need all eyes on this debate. And once you have watched it, do all the things. Go run, tell that, as they say. Run, tell that. Run, tell what you saw. Run, tell what your opinions are. Figure out how to, repeat the positive things that you heard. Amplify the things that mean something to you and that impacted you. But most importantly, just watch. Pay attention. I love this article that you shared with us from the Mizzou people, not only because it's from my home state, but also because I think it really level sets. A lot of people watch the debates, but they already know who they're going to vote for. But it does provide a level of energy for the campaign. It is a motivator. It can help to articulate for people specific positions, even though they already know who they're going to vote for. And there's no question that this is right now sitting at a pretty tight race, and debates can really make a difference in tight races. So for all of those reasons and so many more, I am looking forward to this debate. I am looking forward to watching it with many of my fellow sister friends. And I can't wait for us to talk about what we heard. It is over. So on the other side of this, we'll have lots to say, I'm sure. All right.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. You said
no,
yes.
I'm just saying yes.
Yes.
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for it.
Yep.
I'm ready. Rock steady, Eddie, ready. All right. And with that, watch the debate. Join us on the other side. You're not gonna dance party with us, Simone. Said, no. That's for the old people. No problem. We got you. We're getting ready for the debate. We're hyped up and ready to go. Most importantly, we want you to be hyped up and ready to go. We're going to be looking for you online. Definitely, this is a great opportunity to follow all of our channels, Sisters Lead everywhere. And of course, our YouTube channel, so that you can get not only this pre-debate commentary, but you do not want to miss what we have to say about the actual debate. All right. Until then, my good friends, my sisters, we will see you next time on the other side of the debate.
Thank you for joining us here on Clap Back Get the Facts podcast. We hope that you're leaving feeling more informed and ready to provide others with the facts. We would love to hear your biggest takeaways from this episode, so post the show on your Instagram story and tag us at Sisters Lead. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, please leave a review so others can get some sense of the facts that we're providing. Finally, if you would like to learn more about local resources and other projects we're working on, go to sistersleadsistersvote.org.